Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, October 13th. Hope y'all had a great weekend. Hope you got to do what you wanted with who you wanted. Candace's Ranch Rodeo team was in Friday night and Saturday, and they spent some time in the arena together just kind of getting ready for their finals this upcoming week. And then we roped most of the day yesterday, kind of getting ready for the trip to Arizona and then on to the finale at Vegas. And so it was a busy weekend, but it was doing things that we really love to do. So pretty hard to beat that. I've learned since my walk has narrowed, and believe me, there was some narrowing to be done. Quite a bit still left to do, but I've learned that my sense of humor and many of the people, especially the preachers' senses of humor are not the same, and I'll prove it to you. We were on the way to go eat over the weekend. I had a preacher in a pickup with me, and it's equipment sale time again in the little part of the world where I live, where I come from. And folks are scurrying to get stuff in there, the sales. So a lot of times stuff they bought last year that they didn't need as much as they thought they did. But the story came to my mind about the preacher that bought the air compressor at the sale. It's a gas-powered air compressor. You pull the cord to crank it, and he is looking it over, and the boy that owned it happened to walk by, and the preacher says, "Is this your air compressor?" I said, "Yes, sir." Says, "It work all right?" Says, "I need one for stuff around the house there and maybe around the church, and I just hated to give what a new one costs. I'd sure be interested in a decent used one." And he said, "Oh yeah, preacher, this thing works fine. It's just got some age on it." So the preacher buys it, and later the following week, the preacher and old boy bump into each other again at the coffee shop. The preacher says, "I've choked it, unchoked it, checked the gas, checked the oil, done everything with it, and I can't get that blooming thing to start." The boy looked at him and said, "Preacher, you're going to have to cuss that thing and get it to start." Preacher says, "Oh no," says, "I give that up when I went to work for God." He said, "Well, preacher, you just keep pulling on that cord. It'll come back to you." But when I told that story, it tickles me every time when I tell it. And I noticed that me and the preachers don't all have the same sense of humor. But one thing that nobody's told me that I had to give up my sense of humor. They did say maybe I need to clean up a little bit. Let's get into it. Jesus calling for October 13th. Take time to be still in my presence. The more hassled you feel, the more you need this sacred space of communion with me. Breathe slowly and deeply. Relax in my holy presence while my face shines upon you. This is how you receive my peace, which I always proffer to you. Maybe that's the way this man raised me. Maybe it was the way that my family made their living, ranching and cowboying. Maybe it was just something personal. But I'm around a lot of people that are involved in ministries, way more than I ever was before. And I noticed that they just talk. And a lot of times they're talking and invading your peace. Guess what they're talking about? God's peace. Now, I'm not slamming them people. Everybody's got their own way. But I can tell you that I never feel as at peace or as close to the good Lord as I do in times of quiet, times of serenity, times of, when you're around your cows, when you're around a horse by yourself, when you're somewhere with your dogs, when you're, that's when I feel the closest. In the country, when the wind's blowing during the day and it's quiet, you can hear that old wind drift across the plains. At night, when the stars are out big and full and you can hear the pump jacks off in the distance, that's when I feel the most peace and feel the closest to God. So what I'm telling you is the chaos of the world, for me, isn't where I find God. And I think that's kind of the message anyway, isn't it? Imagine the pain I feel when my children tie themselves up in anxious knots, ignoring my gift of peace. I died a criminal's death to secure this blessing for you. Receive it gratefully. Hide it in your heart. My peace is an inner treasure growing within you as much as you trust in me. Therefore, circumstances cannot touch it. Be still, enjoying my peace in my presence. Can't say it much better than that. I've noticed that if peace in your life is really what you need, that getting into that Bible, or something as simple as getting into these devotionals, it helps. It just gives you just a little more peace rather than the chaos that used to be my life. And I'll give you a little dip into what the chaos that used to be my life was. This time of day, here before daylight, most likely be fairly hungover and short-tempered. Jump right out in the middle of my day and be rolling 500 miles an hour because I believed that no matter what bad habits I had, if I just got up and went to work and hustled harder, that maybe the two would cancel each other out. And being shorter tempered, and I guarantee you that's what alcohol did to me, is it kept me on edge and kept me shorter tempered and just kept me just ready to explode at any moment. That just sets you up for chaos. And, social media, good Lord, everything somebody would say seemed like would tick me off, and I'd just be jumping down their throat. Now people thought it was hilarious because I'd said a lot of things that a normal person just wouldn't say. But I can tell you that if it can happen to me with the temperament I was raised with and the temperament I've always had, it can happen for you. Scripture it gives for this morning's devotional, Psalm 46:10, Numbers 6:25 through 26, and John 14:27. Guys, your joy's going to come in the morning. And sometimes we have to work at that peace. But if you'll put some kindness, some love, and some forgiveness with it, God will share you some peace. And those things, you're going to need them throughout your day, but don't be scared to share them with somebody else that needs them too. And remember, you may be the only Bible a person ever reads, so my goodness, act accordingly. And if you buy an air compressor that's cord start, watch yourself when it doesn't want to crank. Y'all have a great day.